Back on, brothers.
Okay, so as I was saying, so back in the day when I used to go to secondary school, there was a chess club and they'd have tournaments, and I thought, you know, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to play and I'm going to win, because I was arrogant. I didn't really understand. I thought, you know, I can play well. I went in there, I played a match and I lost my first match and I got bust up, right? And at that point I thought to myself, oh shit man, I'm not as good at chess as I thought I was. And at the time, I kind of stopped playing as much because I thought I was no good. So when my uncle showed me this move, you can checkmate someone in 4 moves, I was thinking, well, hang on a minute, why didn't my dad teach me that? Because if my dad had taught me that, I'd have been able to do better at the chess club. So I called my dad yesterday, or he called me, and I'm talking to him and I said, Dad, Uncle showed me this move where you could checkmate me in 4 moves, and he says, you taught him that? I says, Dad, man, how come you never taught me that? And you know what my dad said? He goes, oh, I remember that. He says, the reason why I didn't teach you that move is because I wanted you to learn how to play properly. And he said, if I'd have taught you that move, you would have kept relying in it, and you'd be able to win matches, but you wouldn't be a good player. Right, so he says, I wanted you to be a good player, so I didn't show you that because I wanted you to learn properly. Now that goes back to the chasing them of the Lord, because when the Most High puts us through situations, it's to make us stronger. Like even like being out here now, we're in a tough situation. It's all to make us better men in the long run.
Sturdy, strong,
And when he said that to me, I couldn't say nothing because I was thinking to myself, shit, you know what, man? In his wisdom, he was right.
That sounds like a clever guy to me, but I like it.
Even if you wanted to get mad at them, you couldn't get mad at them.
That's a good teacher.
Exactly. And that's the thing in life. Sometimes it's like, I think that's the problem with a lot of children today. Their parents are too soft on them. They go easy on them, so the children have no discipline. So sometimes you've got to let your child take the hits, man, so they can toughen up. So, yeah, I mean, I had to say, you know, man, you was right, you know.
And if I may add a little bit to that, in this truth, there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts. For those people that may think they work, they're shortcuts. I know I'm talking from the left-hand side, from being a lot of my time in my life, you know. Because now I'm supposed to be an older man. I'm supposed to be an OG, right? According to the world standards, I'm supposed to be an OG. But fuck, you know, all that after dead because you're born again. But in the world, they teach you shortcuts to everything, man. Everything's about doing shortcuts. So when people come, some not doing no name, come into this truth, they think they're gonna try that little move or a little shortcut. I think they're gonna pull the wool over brothers' eyes and the elders' eyes. But you know but the Most High see everything. There is no shortcuts. So that's one thing I learned to really, because I used to bunk off school. Everything you tried to get me in, I'll bunk off it. Because that's, you know, what I knew. But you can't do that with this truth. That's what people don't understand. You can't do that with this truth.
There's no easy path to success in this truth, man. Every brother's got to go through it. We've all got to... go on, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. We've all got to go through this narrow gate, you know, this narrow path, and some brothers...
That's why they call it the straight gate.
Yeah, I'm going to call it that. Straight is the gate, and narrow is the way that leadeth unto life.
And the term straight means a position of difficulty.
Yes. See, that's all I had to say on that.
Yeah. Where was we before? Oh, we was in Ezekiel 25.
So you know the moves now, do you?
Well, what I'm going to do now... Right, no, he still hasn't taught me the move, but I'm actually going to call my dad and say, look, you know what, Dad? You were right, and I want to really challenge you because he's really good, man. I've never beat him, so what I was going to say is, look, okay, I'm going to put my chest set up, and every day you text me a move, and I'll text you a move, and we'll play over a distance. So, like, he might say, alright, king to b4, and I'll be like, okay, I'll move it on my board so we can play a long distance match. I don't see him too much, but I'm making it a point of duty to try and beat him. So.
Yeah, Ezekiel 25.
25,
Yeah. I think he was in verse 14.
Yeah, that was the last verse he was in. So Ezekiel 25 and 14, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger, and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, save the Lord power.
And they shall know my vengeance, save the Lord power. So it's going to be well known that the Lord is going to be coming against them when we rise up against them. You see, the Lord is going to make it very clear to the so-called white people that the Lord is coming up against you with his people, that you afflicted. Because like I said, we always talk about this man. The reason why the Lord allowed this man to get the upper hand because of what we did wrong. But at the same time, the Lord wanted us to show ultimately that this is the cause and effect when we don't keep my commandments. That I'm going to bring you to hell so that when you're in hell, you go to my name again. Alright? And I can show you that I'm the one and only power.
Of course.
You know, I can make your life a misery and I can make your life good. Okay? So the best thing to do is to serve you. You serve me to the because if you do what these nations are doing, I'm going to destroy you. Like how I've allowed you to destroy them because of their gods, which are no gods anyway. So we have to go through it like the water always talks about, right? Shalom to the brother.
Shalom, brother. Elder.
If he's, you know, if he's hearing us, we have to go through it, man. We have to go through the different steps so that eventually we can get to this time and realize that we need our power more than we need anything else. That's
You know what, brother? You're going to appreciate the power because you've been brought to a low state.
Yeah.
So you'll appreciate the power when you receive it.
You're going to appreciate much more.
That's it.
And you're going to appreciate the kingdom much more because
That's right, yes.
think about it, Jacob's been in captivity more than he's been doing good. So just imagine when we get the kingdom, we're going to be good, man. Yeah, so man, what else we can get? Go back to Nahum.
Yeah.
1 verse 10 once again. And you also get the Daniel chapter 2. And read the verse.
So I'll start from 9. This is Nahum 1 and 9, and it says, "What do we imagine against the Lord? He will make an utter end. Affliction shall not rise up the second time. For while they be folded together as lords, and while they are drunk as drunkards, they shall be devoured as stubble, fully dry."
Yeah. So that of them was going into that scripture earlier before, but I wanted to go back to that scripture again to recap my train of thought. That affliction will not come the second time. So with that, now you can do is get Daniel's 2. Yeah. Because what I want to go back and focus on is the fact that when every nation had their time to shine and to rule, he was under them. So when Esau comes out of power, we're not going to be taken down anymore. We're going to be ruling forever and ever. And as it's going to show you in Daniel 2, let's get it.
Daniel 2 verse 41. And when thou sawest the feet and
Go to verse 42. Verse 42.
and the toes of the feet that were
3.
cut,
Go to 3.
and when thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry
4.
clay,
Go to 4.
and in the days of these kings,
That's it right there.
right, and in the days of these kings shall God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed,
Yeah.
and the kingdom shall not be left to other people.
That's the point. And this kingdom will not be left to other people. So when we rule, no nation is going to come and overcome our kingdom. It's not going to happen. So this goes back to Lamentations 4 verse 21 and Nahum 1 in verse 10 where it says affliction will not come a second time. Because the Lord, like I said, the Lord set up these nations first. Like the saying goes, save the best for last.
Okay.
The Lord wanted to save the best kingdom for last. Get all of these paganistic kingdoms out the way first. So that our people, or the lost people in general, can go through the ups and downs, go through the different levels of captivities. So that eventually at the last captivity, they fall on this name and eventually highly regard the power And in this, and also in the same time, the Lord is going to magnify His name at the same time. Okay, and showing that He's the real power, not Elon Rothschild,
That's it.
not Jacob Barony Rothschild.
Yeah, man, fuck them.
To hell with them cats. The Lord put them niggas in power
That's it.
to rule for the time when He's going to yank them out of power, and we're going to actually have them as slaves. They're going to be the first crop of slaves, man. These are people that never worked a day in their life. We could talk about the Vanderbilts, the Schiffs, the Morgans, all of these jackasses. They're going to pursue to go under the underground, the bunkers, to try to survive the nuclear holocaust, but they're going to be there so that the Lord's hand can take them. Who's going to be the Lord's hand? We're going to be the Lord's hand to take them out of them bunkers.
The hook.
Right, and we're going to snap chains on them bastards.
But quick precept.
Go on, brother.
This is Job chapter 20 verse 23. When he is about to fill his belly.
When he's about to fill his belly. You know what that talks about? That's talking about that new world order system. When they're about to fill their belly, when they're about to fulfill their new world order system. Okay? That's what I meant to say. When they're about to situate their new world order system and they think they got it in the bag, guess what? Go on.
The Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him.
Right. The Most High shall cast their fury upon his wrath upon him. I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
Come on, go on.
And shall rain it upon him while he is eating.
And shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Plus, on top of that, I was reading a couple of articles dealing with the situation that that's going on with Russia and America, right? And what you got going on with America, America's their thing is to send their military where Poland is at, or in Poland, so that they can be closer to Russia. All right, that's what they're looking to do in the future. Poland is saying that the U.S. should allow their soldiers to be stationary in Poland. So all of this stuff, these moves that they're making, what are they doing? They're provoking Russia. They call it a term called provocation. So they're provoking the bear. They're arousing the bear to make the moves. Okay? Which that goes into the book of Joel, how the Lord is going to stir up certain nations to rise up against America, to be exact. We're going to get into that though later on. Go on, brother. Lord, if we don't go into it today, we'll go into it next week. Go on.
Yeah, that was just a quick one. It's done, isn't it?
All right.
Yeah.
Job 1 Daniel 2, or is that finished?
Yeah, read that again.
Right, so it says, verse 44, and in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed.
Right, and it said the God of heaven, which shall set up a kingdom. Go on.
That shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people,
Go on.
but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
And it shall stand forever. So when Yahawah comes back, he's going to pay every nation a visit and destroy them. And his kingdom is going to be far superior above all of the kingdoms past, present. And the difference is that this kingdom is going to remain to be forever. It says that the saints shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. And that's what we're transitioning to. That's why this society is falling down. That's why many have taken the UV shot and they're about to drop dead. And all they got to do is come with that mark, that Karakma mark, and this place sooner or later is going to be up in smokes before you know it.
So like I was doing a video yesterday, I was watching the news. I had to pause that shit and do a video because now they're saying South Africa.
Yeah, they got the
Deadly virus.
They announced, oh, we got another variant.
Oh yeah.
And then the whole world turned against them and said, well, fuck you niggas. We're cutting off your travel into America and all these other places.
Yeah.
And now, the main point is they're saying the current thingy jiggy that's out there, that's now 40% less effective.
Yeah.
So guess what? They're going to make another one.
They're going to make another one. Because check this out, brother.
And it's all money making to it, to make money to it. They're making money out of it.
But it's more than money.
Yeah.
It's more than money. They get the money. You're right about that, because Esau's about the money. But what it's really all about is them leading you to getting that mark, man.
That's right.
And it's really about control. They want to see if they can still kind of control people and use them psychological game tactics on people to put them in fear. You know what I'm saying? To pretty much move them towards a new world system. That's what that whole thing is about. But going back to what the brother's saying about what they're saying down in South Africa, how they found out a new variant or something like that. Because you got to remember what's going on in Australia, what's going on in Germany, where they're doing down there is they've actually forced the people to say, yo, you're going to have to take this ooh-wee. And if you don't take the ooh-wee, then you can't do shit. That's what they're doing over there. So I was listening to what Dominic Rahar was saying. And Dominic Rahar was like, yo, they was asking him, like, we need to pose mandatory vaccinations. So he said, well, I don't think we need to do that right now because we got the numbers already. So they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it. Because at the end of the day, that's the order from on high. The order on high is to make sure that we get a lot of people, as much as they can, to get the thing. So England is going to have to do something. So this African thing may pave the way for the government down here to make that move going, brother.
So Isaiah 10 and verse 1, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that by grievousness which they have prescribed.
Yeah, and that's what they've done. They've planned this thing way out from way before. Alright, there's news about that they made back in the 70s, which is about, you know, a variant or a virus pretty much flowing around the place. And they make these films for predictive program purposes and to plan out future events at the same time. So they've come together as a group of people in these silent, you know, in these silent councils, these dark councils, whatever you want to call it, the Bilderberg meeting, the Cobra meeting, whatever you want to call it. So these men get together and they concoct evil agendas, man.
And it's like that South African thing, right? A lot of those South Africans are Jake. So when they bring it over to this side of the world, who they gonna be targeting?
They're gonna be targeting Jake. They're gonna say it's Jake. But see, the thing, I'm gonna be honest though, right? I'm gonna say this. A lot of these devils are waking up and they're realizing that, man, they're just trying to get Jake to take it. Because these devils, they know that they don't like Jake and their own government don't like Jake. So let's blame Jake for the cause of the variant.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
The
media knows what they're doing.
Pulled up that environment you're talking about. Just a quick little read on that, right?
Yeah.
It says the scientists have detected a new COVID-19. Skip out certain words. C19 variant called B11529, and are working to understand its potential implications. About 50 confirmed cases have been identified in South Africa, Hong Kong, and Botswana 2 days ago. So
So I mean, England is going to have to think about
the super variants,
being serious about the ooh-wee shot, because Germany is getting down to the bottom of it. Austria's getting down to the bottom of it.
Yeah, they got a lockdown over there.
They got a lockdown, There's an actual lockdown, and you got people actually protesting and taking a stand against it.
Setting fire in the streets.
Netherlands is dealing with it too. Netherlands is handling it in their own way as well. So England is going to have to deal with it. Even if they don't want to deal with it, they're going to have to do it. Because at the end of the day, we know that England is all of these countries are corporations. Which you have, in every corporation you have presidents or prime ministers, right? And as we know that the prime minister, the presidents hold no power whatsoever. It's the banking elite, because most, obviously in Europe, there's a central bank. So if there's a central bank, then we already know that the Rothschild is behind that system. So that's who's controlling the system. So they gotta get down and play ball. Even if they don't want to play ball, they're gonna have to play ball. Go on, brother.
Right, so
let's shoot that again.
Yeah, man, you look at them, the Prime Minister of this country, man.
He's a clown.
He's a clown, man. I had to do a video on that, man. He went up there talking about a flipping cartoon, man. Kiddies program, Peppa Pig.
And before that was Kermit.
Yeah, before it was Kermit, He was talking about Kermit the Frog. Come on, dog, bro. Really? There it is, he's standing in front of all manner of grown folk talking about cartoons. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Right, Isaiah 10 and verse 1. Salaki, I also heard something as well. I was reading, they say they want to give the pot shot annually. like we may have to, you know, once a year put it in people's arms.
Right.
So Esau just wants access to people's arms to be able to put
stuff in.
Yeah.
And his clown ass as well. What's her name? Is it Preeti Patel?
Yeah, Preeti Patel.
She was meant to go over there to France. And this dumb idiot, he started tweeting shit. And then the French president, Macron, was like, nah man, you know what, we're uninviting her. Because Bojo the clown went up there and started tweeting some nonsense on Twitter, man. And the French withdrew their invitation for her to come over. This guy's a clown, man.
Yeah, he's a clown. But I mean, like Boris Johnson, you gotta give it to him. He is a clown. He's a comedian. He can't make you laugh, man. The way that he projects himself, words like the way that he talks and everything, he's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's
funny. Can't take that dude seriously.
But what you just said there, that shows that the nations aren't cleaving together. If France is retracting their invitation, they're not.
They're not unified.
They're divided. Yeah, they're divided.
But that goes back to Mark. Somebody get that, man. Mark, what is it, 2?
Yeah, I'm trying to
3:23. Because they were supposed to come together. They were supposed to stick together. That's how Esau was able to conquer the world, when they were together, man. And they even having issues with America, the EU. We was talking about, I think it was last week, we was talking about the EU, how they can't trust America no more. Because of the moves that America's made with them. So the whole thing is breaking down. That's how you know that this Roman system is about to be up and down.
That's right.
It's ever since, let's just even go back to the 50s, right? When the EU was formulated right along with America. From that time and onwards, they were always together. Now all of a sudden they're having problems. So here it is, you have the counsel of the wicked, which is crumbling apart, and meanwhile you have the counsel of the righteous, which is coming together. So that shows you, Phil, from the outside looking in, as I've explained it, that shows you who's going to come next in the power. Because we're coming together. Once upon a time, Jake was like, we was just a December nation. We was evil towards one another. You still got Jakes like that, but you got a lot of Jakes waking up and they realize, wait a minute, the real enemy at large is this man. And you got us, the Israelites, waking up and we're finding out that we're brothers and sisters under one power. And that one power has chosen us to be a special people unto himself. But meanwhile, while that's going on nowadays, they're being divided. Go on, brother. Let's read what you got.
Yeah, you got. I got this as well. You got Daniel, miry clay, iron and miry clay. You know, it's not gonna mix, man.
But I tell you what, before we go there, let's read about the miry clay, because he was there anyway. Come.
Why is he getting that? There's breaking news.
Okay.
Boris Johnson just announced that soon you have to start wearing the face mask now in shops.
Oh, you gotta wear the face mask.
And public transport.
Yeah, they gotta do something. They gotta do something, because what it is with England, they don't really want to do what Austria's done with the people in terms of making it mandatory. So they gotta look like they doing something now. But they don't really want to do it, but they're gonna do it. I'm telling you, this government is gonna do the unthinkable. You watch what I tell you.
Ooh, that's good. It's something to look forward to.
And these people out here, they're gonna go to 10 Downing Street and destroy the place. It's gonna get to them levels, man.
Yeah.
That's why there's a heavy presence 24/7 of police outside them areas, man. You can't even walk on 10 Downing Street. They got that barricade thing, man. But the elders say it's gonna get to the point where they go overpower it, man. The scriptures speak about sedition among men. You know, rising up against the government systems, man.
And when you look around, I mean, if you're a regular Edomite and you look around the world, because the World Wide Web is taking over the world. So people are looking at what's going on in different places. And what are they seeing? They're seeing an uprising among the people in these different countries. So that's going to influence people to do the same thing. Because people are feeling the same way anyway. They feel like, man, their government doesn't have their best interests at heart. So I'll tell you what we do. We'll come together, right? And we'll protest peacefully, and then eventually it's going to turn to a rebellion. Sedition. So we're in a seditionist times are going to come more so, because it's going to be worldwide. Go on, brother.
Right, Daniel 2 verse 14. 1. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, potter's clay and part of iron.
Yeah, because the different parts of the body, is what? Is the different kingdoms, man.
Yep.
right.
So the feet and the toes is this last kingdom that we're in right now.
Yep. The 10 toes.
10
Yep.
toes.
Part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided,
Yep.
but there shall be in it the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest iron is the
The iron represents the military power. Because remember during the time of Rome, the military power had iron. Their arm was based on iron, and they had obviously men that were skilled with the sword. So each and every time when the nations came to take down the Romans was kicking their ass each and every time, because it was in the time of the Roman Empire to rule for a particular point in time. Just like how it is right now. You can't take this devil down. No other nation
No
can
way.
take this man
No,
down.
no.
Because he got the utmost power. Technological power. Go on, brother.
So like, you just gave me a tissue. I'll read it.
Come on.
So I'm holding Mark 3, but I go to Daniel 2. Right, so this is Daniel chapter 2 verse 41, and it says, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part iron, the kingdom shall be divided.
And check this out. Obviously, when you look at the body of a man, the last part of his body is his feet. So this represented the last part of the statue, which also represents, is symbolic of the last kingdom that we would be under, which is the last leg of the Roman Empire. Go on.
And it says,
That's why it says in the book of Revelation, Salakia, brother. That's why it says in Revelation, the 20th chapter, that this LEVI is hills, representing the Roman Empire would be partially destroyed, but it would come back all over again. That's why this so-called white man's ruling today. Going, brother, because he came back into power to be used in the Middle Season.
the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the
It was
iron.
the military power, like I was explaining before.
The iron mixed with miry clay.
So you know, America has about 300 plus bases around the, I think it's more than that, man. But it's said that they have hundreds of bases worldwide. So if you got 100 bases worldwide, that's an empire right there. That's a ruling class world right there. Go on.
And it says, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay,
Yeah.
and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong
And partly
and
broken.
partly broken.
Yeah, because you have among them, you have inferior, what is it, man? What's the word I could use?
Materials.
No, they're inferior economically.
Yeah.
Oh, they're the weaker nations.
Yeah, you have Greece, you have Italy, you have Spain. These are the weak, and then you have among them the strong. You have Germany, France, England, and Brussels.
Yeah.
So these are the strong. These are the strong among the weak among them. Go on, brother. And that they would be divided. That's why you have these referendums going about that you heard in class. Like England just exited out of the EU. They just had their Brexit. But they're still obviously a part of NATO, of course.
Yeah,
Go on, brother.
Ride the
And it
wave.
says, and whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another.
But they should not cleave one to another. Again, like I was saying about the referendums that they have.
These treaties and stuff.
Yeah.
And it says, even as iron is not mixed with clay, and in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed.
So with that, hold on with that, get Mark 3. Because he was talking about, he was reading in the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, explaining about the 10 toes, how the 10 toes will be divided amongst themselves. And what I was saying earlier before, that shows you that this world is about to go out. There's discrepancies in this empire. It's going back to what I was saying earlier before. What made this empire great? When Esau and them was all together, right along under America, the umbrella of America. NATO to be exact. Let's read this stuff.
Mark 3 from verse 23. And he called unto them and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan?
Yeah.
And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand.
They can't stand. So that's why the society is about to fall apart. Because there's a divided seed. That's how you destroy people as well. That's what Esau did to us as a people. He divided, and what did he do? He conquered. So Yahawah Shai is doing the same thing. He's putting the spirit on these men to hate, to cause a discrepancy, so that eventually when the Lord makes a second return, he can easily destroy them. Because before you take over a nation, you got to take them down when they're weak. And that's what's going to happen. The takeover is going to come around sooner or later, around this time. And it's going to be, like certain brothers said, it's going to be the Jakeover. Yeah.
Just like Salakia, I remember a couple of weeks ago, the elders going into the walls of Jericho, man. And by us coming out here, it's like we're circling, man.
Yeah, yeah.
We're circling, you know, going round and round and round. And then that time is going to come where in that precept where they had to do a loud shout, man. You know, and the scripture says the Lord shall come with a great shout.
Yes.
You know? And that's what it's
exactly.
It's going to come down, man.
Quick one for that. Yeah. Malachi and Malachi 1, get the dust off this one. 4 says, wherefore Edom saith we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places.
Yeah, because Salakia, brother, because when you read the Maccabees, I think it's first Maccabees 1. First Maccabees 8 and 1. It talks about when the Roman Empire came into existence, into the power. Because actually, no, let's go into it. I'm saying, well, you get that. Maccabees is multiplied on the earth. No, first Maccabees 8 verse 1. Because when the Greeks were in power, who came after the Greeks? The Roman Empire did. And the Romans gained fame on what they did. We're gonna go into it real quick, and then we're gonna. I tell you what, finish what you had. Salakia, bro. I don't mean to cut you off like that.
The point was kind of made, but I finish it. It says, wherefore Edom saith we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down.
Yeah, because Esau came into existence in power during the Greeks. Some call it the Greco Empire, but you could say it's the Empire of Greece. You know, they ruled for a particular point in time. Alexander the Great, he only ruled for 12 years because he had the transition. He passed away. And then his 12 sons, not his 12 sons, his 4 sons came in there and took over. And they ruled the different parts of the world at the time. You had the Ptolemies, you had the Seleucids dynasty. You also had
Ptolemy.
Yeah, I said you had Seleucids. Cassandra. So these were the sons that came after Alexander the Great and took over. One took over Egypt, which I believe Ptolemy took over Egypt. Go on, brother.
And they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever.
Yeah, so remember, as you just read, how the scripture says that return to places. How did Esau return? He returned as the ancient Romans. But let's read this.
Right, first Maccabees 8 verse 1. Now Judas had heard of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves.
And the Maccabees, this was written during the time of the Greek, when they were under the Grecians. Go on.
And with such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them, and they made a league of amnesty with all that came unto them. And they were men of great valor, and it was told him also of their wars and noble acts which they had done among the Galatians, and how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute.
Yeah, which was a portion of the Grecian military. They conquered